Imagine this, a 2.8 GPA. Most people think that's the end of the road for their law school dreams, but 6 months later, that same applicant is weighing $180,000 in scholarships from top law schools. How does that happen? Let me show you. The truth is, low grades don't have to define your application. Today, I'll walk you through the exact framework my students use to overcome GPA barriers and unlock admission to top tier law schools and significant scholarship money. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, here's the first mistake applicants make, thinking a low GPA is a death sentence. Let me share a story. James came to me with a 2.9 GPA. He thought he had no chance at a T14 school. Fast forward, James is now holding a $175,000 scholarship from Northwestern Law. How? He didn't let his GPA define him. He rewrote his narrative. Admissions committees look for context, not excuses. They want to understand the why behind your grades, and that's where most applicants fail. They either ignore the issue entirely or they over-explain it. Both approaches are deal breakers. Low GPAs can tell a story of resilience and growth if it's framed correctly. And that's exactly what we're going to cover today. Here's the framework my strategies use to transform low GPAs into compelling stories. The first is the LSAT power position. Your LSAT score is your single best weapon to offset a low GPA. Think of it as a reset button for your academic potential. Jennifer had a 2.7 GPA, but her 172 LSAT score, that made admissions officers pay attention. High scores don't just offset low GPAs, they create leverage. If you have a sub 3.0 GPA, you want to aim for 170 plus. If your GPA is a 3.0 to a 3.4, a 165 to 169 alone can be transformative. Those are just general rules, of course. You want to look at specific school medians for the details. But why is this so powerful? It's because the LSAT is seen as a predictor of success in law school. A strong score proves you can handle the workload no matter what your GPA says. So if your LSAT score isn't where it needs to be, retaking it is often the smartest move you can make. Think about this. A few months of dedicated LSAT prep can add hundreds of thousands of dollars in law school scholarship offers. And that's an ROI you won't find anywhere else. The second part of the framework is the upward trend formula, because not all GPAs are created equal. Admissions officers ideally want to see improvement over time. That's proof that you're trending upward. James's 2.9 GPA wasn't consistent. His early years were rough, but his last 2 semesters, all straight A's. And that's what schools care about. Recent performance outweighs your past mistakes. So to highlight an upward trend, of course, it'll be on your transcript. That'll show the map of your improvement, but you also want to frame it in your addendum. Focus on the lessons learned and show how you've grown. But you want to be careful to avoid defensive language. Show ownership, not excuses. The third part of the framework is the future-proof method, because admissions committees are forward-looking. They're less concerned with where you've been and more focused on where you're going. For my student Rachel, her application didn't just explain her 2.8 GPA, it connected her challenges to her future goals. She positioned herself as resilient and adaptable, which are traits critical to success in law school. Your addendum should briefly acknowledge past issues and then pivot to your future. Talk about how you will excel in law school and talk about how your experiences have prepared you. The fourth and final part of the framework is the risk reversal system, because admissions committees fear risk. They don't want you to flunk the bar. They don't want you to flunk out of law school. And so a low GPA can signal potential academic challenges. Your job is to reverse that perception. For my student Michael, his 2.8 GPA definitely raised some eyebrows, but his letter of rec from a professor highlighted his work ethic and his mastery of challenging material. He also used his supplemental essays to showcase his ability to handle rigorous coursework. So get letters of rec that address your growth and your academic potential. Use specific examples in your essays to prove you're prepared for the demands of law school, and always avoid vague statements. Instead, you want to be concrete and measurable. And of course, all of this hinges on having the LSAT score, which is why retakes are so powerful. So if you're not happy with your LSAT score, remember that retaking the LSAT is often the single most effective thing you can do to improve your application, because your LSAT score isn't just a number, it's taken as a statement about your potential. Imagine you're sitting on a 160 currently. A jump to a 170 isn't just a better score, it's the difference between a rejection letter and a $150,000 scholarship to law school. One test, one chance to change your trajectory. Retaking the LSAT shows persistence. It shows you're willing to put in the work, and when admissions committees see that, they definitely take notice. So if you'd like my help on your journey to a 170 plus, if you'd like my help retaking the LSAT, my team and I would be glad to help you out. We can create for you a personalized day-by-day LSAT study plan. We pair it with private one-on-one coaching on a consistent weekly basis from now through your LSAT test date. If you're interested in finding out more, you could check out the links below to book a call with me and my team and get on that road to 170 plus. We'd be glad to help you out. Now let's talk about results. These are real students who follow this framework. We have Rachel, who had a 2.8 GPA and got a full ride to Georgetown. We have James with a 2.9 GPA, who ended up with a $175,000 scholarship at Northwestern. We have Jennifer, who had a 2.7 GPA and got accepted to multiple T14s. And Michael with a 2.8 GPA, who got a $165,000 scholarship at UCLA. What do all of them have in common? They didn't just fix their weaknesses, they turned them into strengths. They retook the LSAT and got top scores to offset their lower GPAs. And their applications told their stories of transformation. They showed that challenges can lead to growth, and that growth can lead to success. Now here's a side-by-side comparison of two different addendums addressing low GPAs. See if you could spot the difference. The failed addendum says, "My grades dropped because I was overwhelmed. I've since worked on managing my time." Super vague, not compelling. The winning addendum, in contrast, will say something like, "During my sophomore year, I faced unexpected challenges balancing a full-time job with my coursework. However, by junior year, I developed strategies that improved my performance, reflected in a 3.9 GPA for my final semesters." The difference? Specificity. Admissions officers need evidence, they hate generalities. Winning addendums don't just explain, they persuade. They make admissions committees believe in your potential. Now, the strategies I've shared with you today can have real benefits for your application. You can get 6 figures in scholarship money, you can get into more law schools, and so the ROI on retaking the LSAT, getting that higher score, making these changes to your application essays are huge. It's not just stats, these are life-changing opportunities. By reframing your application, you're not just applying to law school, you're actually creating leverage for your future. So your next steps: first, calculate your LSAT target. Use your GPA to identify the LSAT score you need to offset it. You can look up law school LSAT medians and GPA medians directly on LSAC's website. Then you want to make sure that you're mapping your grade patterns to highlight your improvement and that upward trend and addressing any specific challenges in your addenda. Then build your future story in your essays by connecting your academic journey to your goals. Structure your addendum by keeping it concise, specific, and forward-looking. And if you can, time your applications to apply early. But remember that it's better to apply later with a higher LSAT score than earlier with a lower score. And so don't be afraid to retake the LSAT. It's well worth the time. And if you'd like my help preparing for that LSAT retake on your journey to 170 plus, you can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And remember that a low GPA is not the end of the road. It's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to showcase your resilience, growth, and determination. By following the strategies that we've talked about today, you can transform your application into a powerful story of success. And never underestimate the power of getting a higher LSAT score. If you haven't yet hit your target, retake it and invest the time, because the payoff is monumental. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.